Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Nicaragua webinar entitled Nicaragua's Historic and Ongoing Solidarity with Palestine. My name is Barbara Larkham, and I'll serve as moderator today along with Nan McCurdy. We're looking forward to our featured speakers, and we'll introduce them in a few minutes. We want to thank Yoav Elinevsky and Erica Takeo, who are providing our technical support today, and our many organizational co-sponsors who are being listed now in the chat. The webinars are hosted by the Nicaragua Solidarity Coalition, which has a brand new website at a new address, nicasolidarity.com. Before we begin, we have a few requests and announcements. You'll see several buttons available at the bottom of your screen. One button is for closed captions, CC. Just click to turn it on. Also, feel free to use the chat function to offer comments throughout the event. But if you have a question for the speakers, please don't put your question in the chat or we may not see it. Instead, click the Q&A button and place your question there. We'll select your questions from the Q&A to pose to our speakers. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be sent to all registrants within the next few days. When it's ready, it will also be posted at the new website, nicasolidarity.com, and on the YouTube channel of Nicaragua Solidarity Coalition. Please mark your calendars now for our next monthly Nicaragua webinar, to be held on Sunday, June 23rd at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Our featured speakers will be John Perry and Alfred Desaias, discussing the human rights industry and how it is being weaponized to impose sanctions on certain countries, including Nicaragua. More information is coming soon about that webinar. If you'd like to become more active in supporting Nicaragua's sovereignty and opposing foreign interference there, please join the International Nicaragua Solidarity Coalition. You can check the website regularly at nicasolidarity.com. Also, please put your name and email address in the Q&A if you would like to receive action alerts, the weekly newsletter, and monthly meeting notices. The coalition meets on the second Monday of each month at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The next meeting is on June 10th. Another special webinar is being hosted by the Nicaragua Solidarity Coalition, featuring the Uhuru 3 of the African People's Socialist Party and Solidarity Movement. They are unjustly charged by the United States as foreign agents. Learn more about this case and the Uhuru movement's historical connection with Nicaragua on Thursday evening, June 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The Zoom registration link will be posted in the chat. It is bit.ly/Uhuru3. We'll also enter some more information in the chat about other ways you can get involved or learn more about Nicaragua through a petition, the NicaNet email list, the weekly Nica notes, and several ebooks about Nicaragua. The format for today's webinar is the following. First, we'll hear from all three of our speakers who have 15 minutes each for their remarks. Then the remaining time will be for your questions for the speakers. Please do keep entering your questions in the Q&A throughout the webinar. And now we turn to our first speaker, Coleen Littlejohn, who is an international development economist who has lived in Managua since 1980. She has worked for a wide range of organizations such as Catholic Relief Services, the International Reconstruction Fund, or FIR, Nicaragua Network, COPRI, which is a local development NGO that she founded in 1988, Save the Children Canada, and the World Bank in Nicaragua, Liberia, West Africa, and Washington, D.C. Welcome, Coleen. You have the floor.
Thanks very much. And I do want to first thank the organizers of this webinar for inviting me to talk about Nicaragua's historic solidarity with Palestine, because it has been for me a chance to learn more about the historical and ongoing solidarity between the two peoples and their countries. I must confess that I knew very little about the history and situation of Palestine before last October. I think this has been pretty typical for the majority of those born and formally educated in the US, where the norm is to learn historical myths, not real history. But fortunately, as in the late 60s, many students in the US and overseas have opened their eyes to reality, thanks to easier access to alternative news sources. I was fortunate many years ago when I was studying at the College of Europe in Bruges, Belgium, because a fellow student took me to see a documentary on the September 11th coup in Chile a few months after it happened, and my eyes were opened. After grad school, I spent 2 years working in Chile during the Pinochet dictatorship, and then I've had the privilege of living in Nicaragua and working in Nicaragua, witnessing the direct effects of US imperialism. And now to the presentation. One of my sources for this presentation was an article in Al Jazeera dated March 5th of this year. The article begins by explaining the importance of Nicaragua's case against Germany, but then talks about the origins of solidarity between the two peoples, starting with the times of Sandino and a man named Qadir Abu Shene, a Palestinian born in Colombia, who joined Sandino's army to fight against the presence of the US Marines because he believed that colonial powers such as the US and Great Britain were causing suffering throughout the world, including Palestine. After Sandino was betrayed and murdered by the first Somoza, Qadir escaped to Honduras and continued to support revolutionary movements by training cadres, and finally went to Palestine in 1936, where he participated in a major uprising. According to the article, he told his story in an interview he gave in Cuba in 1959. Another article I read stated that the FSLN and the PLO began to establish a relationship in 1966 during the first conference of solidarity with the peoples of Africa, Asia, and Latin America, known as the Tricontinental, which was held in Havana, Cuba. The article stated that one of the leaders of the Frente, Jose Benito Escobar, met in Mexico with 3 reps of the PLO, and they talked about training in Lebanon and also in another country for FSLN cuadros, or leaders who were in Europe at that time. One of those people was Patricio Arguello Ryan, who was born in March of 1943 in San Francisco. His father was a Nicaraguan and his mother from California. When he was 3 years old, he moved to Nicaragua to his father's hometown of Monotombo near La Paz Centro. But in 1956, after the first Somoza dictator was killed by Rigoberto Lopez Perez, the massive repression that followed forced his family to move back to the States. I first heard Patricio's name from Dr. Paul Oquist, who was Patricio's lifelong friend. And Dr. Oquist told me about the time that Patricio brought him to Nicaragua for the first time when he was 17 in 1961, the year that the FSLN was founded to continue the struggle of Sandino. Both Patricio and Paul were activists organizing protest rallies in Los Angeles attended by Nicaraguans in exile. Both later left the US to study abroad. And after receiving his BA in Latin American political science, Patricio was offered a Fulbright scholarship and went to study in Chile, where an emerging revolutionary movement was also developing with Salvador Allende. That same year, 1967, one of his best friends in Nicaragua was killed during the FSLN guerrilla campaign in Pancasan, and later in October, Nestor Che Guevara was assassinated in Bolivia. So Patricio decided to join the political struggle in Nicaragua. He returned in June of 1968 and worked with members of the FSLN. He was deported by the Somoza regime to California, but he soon went to Switzerland to join a number of FSLN members who were doing solidarity work in Europe. In January 1970, the FSLN made contact with Palestinian resistance organizations, and later Patricio and comrades received military training in the Palestinian camps in Jordan. There he participated in the planning of an international revolutionary mission, the hijacking of a scheduled Israeli flight from Amsterdam to New York City, together with a young Palestinian woman, Leila Khalid, to draw attention to the cause of Palestinian liberation and to demand the freedom of Palestinian prisoners. A first attempt was canceled, but the other date was chosen, September 6, 1970. But on that flight, Israeli security on the plane, seeing Patricio trying to force the door open to the pilot, advised the pilot to nosedive, and Patricio fell and was shot several times and left to bleed to death when the plane landed. Leila was arrested, but later freed in October in a prisoner exchange with the PLO. Patricio's family eventually were able to bring his remains home, and he is buried in Monotombo and is considered a hero of international solidarity and the example of what revolutionary internationalism means. Paul Oquist continued to fight for Nicaragua and returned in 1979 and became one of the chief advisors to the new government until his death from COVID 3 years ago. And over the years, Leila, a legendary guerrillera, has come to Nicaragua several times on official visits. The PLO continued to support the FSLN during the decade of the 70s against the dictatorship of Anastasio Somoza Debayle. Many Nicaraguans of Palestinian heritage also joined the FSLN, people with last names such as Hassan, Haloum, Abdallah, Fretz, and Chibel. When I first came to Nicaragua, I noticed that there were many people whose ancestors came from Arab countries, but I now realize that they mostly were from Palestinian descent, including one friend whose grandfather had been mayor of Bethlehem. I also do recall learning that Israel was a major supporter of the Somoza dictatorship with respect to financing and sending weapons to the Somoza National Guard, and that in 1980, for a short time, the only other country in the world that accepted Cordobas was Israel. On July 22nd, 1980, Nicaragua established official diplomatic relations with the Palestinians, the first country in Central America to do so. Days before, at the first anniversary of the revolution, the major leader of the PLO, Yasser Arafat, was one of the special guests who was present, in addition to Fidel Castro, Maurice Bishop of Grenada, Tomas Sankara of Upper Volta, later called Burkina Faso. And I was fortunate to be there to see them. In 1988, Nicaragua was one of the first countries to officially recognize Palestine as an independent state. And over the past years, there have been different exchanges of ambassadors, heads of missions between the two countries, and Nicaragua has shown her support to Palestine in several international forums. For example, in 2017, Nicaragua sent a note to the Secretary General of SICA, the Secretary for Systems of Central America Integration, proposing that Palestine be incorporated as an outside the region observer member. In that same year, Nicaragua was the host of the 4th Congress of the Palestinian Community in Latin America, COPLAC, and Nicaragua's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dennis Moncada, affirmed that his country would continue to support Palestine as an independent state with full rights, stating that we reaffirm our fraternal support and solidarity to the people and government of Palestine. In August of 2019, Nicaragua opened its embassy in Ramallah, the site of the Palestinian state, 15 kilometers from Jerusalem. In May of 2020, Nicaragua supported the candidacy of Palestine to become a member of the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child, and a few months later supported Palestine's candidacy to be a member of the UN Subcommittee for the Prevention of Torture. In July of 2019, Nicaragua was an ambassador to the UN, participated in the UN Committee for the Inalienable Rights of the Palestinian People, and earlier that year, Nicaragua was re-elected to the vice presidency of that committee. Palestine has also shown her solidarity with Nicaragua in many forms, including the form of technical missions and technical assistance in several social and economic sectors in Nicaragua, including agriculture and health. In February of 2019, a memorandum of understanding was signed by both countries to develop cooperation in the health sector for 3 years to support Nicaragua's efforts in heart, vascular, and orthopedic surgeon. Who played an important role in this was the Palestinian surgeon, Dr. Ala Azmi Ahmad, who trained Nicaraguan medical trauma specialists when he came to Nicaragua every 3 months for 3 years. Nicaragua is now performing certain specialized spinal surgeries, the only country in Central America which offers these surgeries free of charge. Ramzi Rabah, member of the PLO Executive Committee, also visited Nicaragua last October and summed up their relationship with Nicaragua and with the following statement. The Palestinian people have always had a special appreciation for the Sandinista Popular Revolution, the Sandinista Party, and Comandante Daniel Ortega, for all the solidarity and support for the Palestinian people and their just cause. Nicaragua was the first to recognize the right of existence of the Palestinian people, especially in these days when the Palestinian people suffered the attacks of Israel, the massacres in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. that will not stop the struggle and resistance because people are destined to exercise their right to freedom and victory. Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. A short summary.
Thank you, Coleen. Wow, you stayed well within your time limit. I didn't even have to give you a warning. And your remarks were very interesting. Excellent. Okay, so our next speaker is Zeiad Abbas. He is the Executive Director of the Middle East Children's Alliance, MECA, which is a nonprofit humanitarian aid organization based in Berkeley, California, which supports children and families in Palestine, Iraq, and Lebanon. He's a Palestinian refugee from Dahisha refugee camp in the West Bank and the co-founder of the Ibda Cultural Center in Dahisha. Zeiad is a filmmaker, journalist, and educator who has worked with Palestinian and international media and has participated in the production of several documentary films. Zeiad Abbas, we are eager to hear from you. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And can I share the screen?
Yes, just go right ahead.
Okay, but I don't see. Sorry, again. Technical. Can you see that? Okay, great.
Yes.
First, thank you so much for inviting me, and it's an honor to be with you all. I appreciate your solidarity committee with Nicaragua. Any solidarity in this world, it helps us as a Palestinian, because injustice is spread in this world, but this kind of solidarity, getting together and support each other. And thank you, Coleen, for this history. Actually, I was working a little bit, so it's amazing to look this history. And for me, as a Palestinian, I was born and grew up in a refugee camp. So when we were young, Nicaragua, it's in our all the time learning about Nicaragua as a country they are struggling. I'm speaking about early 70s when we grew up as a children. And this is like the time, the literature where you hear about it. It was like, I call it underground literature. People, they cannot speak about it publicly as much we learned it from the other people. But right now we have, when we speak about solidarity, right now, it's something very, very important for the case of Palestine and especially the case of Gaza right now. And not just because what's going on in Gaza, but because what's going on in the rest of the world. Because this genocide, the impact of this genocide, it will not just impact Palestinian, it will impact the rest of the world in general. And as much this solidarity important for us, it's important for the rest of the world, where the people, they need to stand up for all the other social justice issues, not just for Palestine. Here we go. This is the genocide. And just I want to mark, like these days, it's the 76th anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba. And I actually, when I go back to the history, Somoza is one of the governments at that period supported the Zionist groups in 1948 and actually recognized Israel from the beginning, among the few countries recognized Israel. But they were supported Israel, and the Israel received weapons from Nicaragua. This is like from many reports published. But now we are commemorating the Nakba, ongoing Nakba, and we are in the phase of genocide. And me with this, I'm doing this short presentation. I'm sharing something like slides actually got by Israeli army, Israeli soldiers, Zionist groups in 1967 and 1948, and Israeli soldiers right now in Gaza, what they publish in their social media, not in the regular media. Most of the footages you will see, these footages, it's coming from Israeli sources more than as Palestinian. Anyway, for me, as I am a Palestinian refugee, I was born and grew up in a refugee camp. And just to make it clear, this is like Israel is a colonial settler system created by and funded and protected by colonial powers in this world. So what we see right now, all these countries supporting Israel, it's since the beginning, it's the same. They will continue supporting the Israeli settler colonialism and support Israel with all these kind of weapons they are using right now in Gaza, and they are supporting them politically all over the world. And just to remind the people that what happened in 1948 and before, when the Jewish immigrants came to Palestine, it was very clear. They didn't come to live with Palestinians. They came to replace the Palestinian. And still until now, this is the whole idea. Anyway, and this is about the history, which Coleen, she spoke about it. I will move fast from it. Just I want to hear all the time when I do my presentation, this is my village where my family uprooted. It's called Zakaria in 1948. Now it's Kfar Zakaria called in Hebron. Just it's part who I am, but my identity. And now we go like for the ethnic cleansing, how it was happened in 1948. And here I refer a lot for the Ilan Babeh book, The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine, that how Israel is, the Zionist groups in that period, uprooting the people from their homes by massacres, attacking the villages, etc. Second, they bombed the houses, and third, they planted trees. And here you can see the photos in 1948, the photos IDF right now, what they do in Gaza. And this has never stopped. It slowed down, but it come back again. And now we are in the phase of the genocide in Gaza Strip. And of course, this is the way how they used to bomb the houses. Here, the Zionist groups, 1948, watching the village. It's called the Beit Natif. I know this village well. Here they are watching Gaza bombed in the beginning, around October 7th, actually. People, they were leaving their houses, taking the sea, going to the refuge. Here in Gaza right now, it's happening. People, they are moving everywhere inside Gaza. And of course, Palestinian children, I say all the time, they are without childhood. This is the reality. I use this slide because I love it. It gives you a sign how Palestinian they are growing up under Israeli occupation. And I say it without childhood. Like Gaza, they were under siege for 17 years. Sometimes we call there is a generation in Gaza, the generation of the siege. They were born and they grew up inside Gaza. And right now, 2.3 million people, they are living on 139 square. And the majority of the people living in Gaza, over 50%, they are children. And Gaza's tiny area, you can see these are the 5 gates controlled by the Israelis and 1 gate controlled by the Egypt. But right now, since May 5th, Israel controlling all this area. The Egyptians, they are not able right now to send anything to Gaza. All Gaza Strip under control. And people, when they move, they evacuate from the north here, they go to the middle, they came to Rafah. They were like 1.5 million people living in Rafah. Now, half of them almost, they moved back to the Khan Yunis and to the middle area. And they are moving only in this area, in Gaza Strip. And of course, people in Gaza, they were struggling and fighting during the siege. And they had the Great March of Retain, 2018, 2019, and hundreds of Palestinians, they were killed. I use this slide. This is every Friday where they were protesting, calling the world to end this siege. And of course, nothing happened. And we reached out to the stage where the October 7th happened. And of course, Israeli government supported and funded by many governments, but here, United States, they are the main player here, supporting Israel in every level. And of course, you have Germany, you have Holland, you have Italy, and you have Britain. These are the main 5 countries. Of course, there are many other countries, they support Israel, but these are the major 5 countries. And this is when it comes to the case to the court, when Nicaragua took the stand in solidarity with Palestine to hold German accountable for the genocide in Gaza. This is one of the amazing moments for us as the Palestinian witnessing, like South Africa, what they do in the court, and witnessing Nicaragua. And I call it, this is the nature solidarity coming from the people they are living under oppressions, taking a stand up against these powers in the world where they are committing crimes of humanity, of genocide there. And it was impact every Palestinian witnessing both, I can say here. I know Nicaragua tried to hold Germany and we still didn't work well, but we still waiting for the South African. Maybe it will work. We are still waiting to see where it will lead. But this is a major, major solidarity is coming for the Palestinians, especially in Gaza. And of course, what happened in these weapons that Israel used is like 1.9 million people evacuated in Gaza since October 7th. They are moving everywhere. There were 1.5 million in Rafah in certain period, but all the people they are moving in Gaza, they are right now as they are 1.9 million. They moved, evacuated in different area. And here the connection between what happened in 1948 and what's going on right now in Gaza. These are what Israeli publish, the one with colors in the social media. I'll go fast. Deir Yassin massacre in Khan Yunis, 2 brothers killed. They shot this brother and his the first one down. His brother went to help him. They shot him and they killed both. Massacres every night happening in Gaza. And here it's the tragedy that how they treat Palestinian prisoners. Prisoners in 1948, now in Gaza Strip, how they are treated. Even here, this bus is going to Gaza, and this is in Gaza. Sometimes I say here in the colored one, in this one, they are maybe the grandchildren or the children of the Palestinian people. They were uprooted, jailed, and they deported, actually transferred to Gaza Strip. This bus went to Gaza Strip. And of course, the refuge. And how Israeli Zionists, they were celebrating after they conquered the villages. Now, this is what they do in Gaza houses after they destroy, playing and relaxing in Palestinian houses. Anyway, right now, the numbers, they are over 35,000 Palestinian, actually 35,500 killed in Gaza Strip, over 15,000 children killed in Gaza. 10,000, they are still reported missing, and they are under the rebels of the homes. Over 79,000 people, they are injured. And over 75% of Gaza Strip, they are destroyed. And like this. And right now, we are in the phase where we are discovering the mass graves everywhere. Ever Israel invade in any part of Gaza, when they withdraw, they find mass graves. And now there are some investigation around this issue. I want just, if you can't watch this image, there is a strong images coming for these kind of people. They were killed and buried, and some of them handcuffed. And even there are a lot. Anyway, it can be more representation about this. And I will go fast here. I know the time. We are the mass starvation used as a weapon. And we have over 30 children that were killed as a result, where women cannot produce milk and no food, especially in north of Gaza. And it's happening now again, because not that many trucks can enter Gaza right now. After Israel, they control the border with Egypt. And the tragedy is here you see the line of these trucks. They are only a few miles from what's going on in Gaza. And of course, because the power that Israel using, and they don't allow these trucks full of food and milk. This is the long line from Egypt on the border of Gaza Strip. A different kind of disease is spread, that the mass starvation disease in Gaza Strip, a lot. It's become huge. And now some of the convoys attacked actually by settlers. Last few days now, we can see that all the time. These convoys coming from Jordan trying to get to Gaza. And just to make it very clear, like Gaza exposed the world, exposed the value of the human being, how these power, dealing with the double standard, the hypocrisy of this world. At the same time, Gaza Strip awoke in the world. The world is wake up right now more than any time before, where you see the student movement, you see the trade unions all over, the solidarity movement all over the world. Happening every week, everywhere. I know it's not enough because the genocide is still happening now. I hope this kind of solidarity, it will reach other phase where they will change this reality and stop this genocide. But this is what's happening like right now. I want to say, when it comes to Nicaragua and the relationship with Palestine, yeah, there is a deep, deep, deep history. in between Nicaragua and Palestine. And with Palestinian, just I want to highlight this, that the Palestinian Liberation Movement, PLO, they were in Lebanon 70s until 1982. Many of liberation movements from Latin America, they were trained there. And from the Nicaragua, I know you use the story of Patricio. He's like a hero for Palestinian, by the way. And there are many groups and other groups, actually, they used to be trained in Lebanon and with the Palestinian groups. And I don't want to say Palestinian Authority, maybe during Q&A we can speak about that. Of course, the internal politics in Nicaragua and the internal politics in with BLO, this is something different because it's a dirty politics, I call it. It's coming there. But when it comes to the solidarity as indigenous people revolution, yes, there were deep history. And this history right now, it's coming to another level where it's coming to, with the case in the court against Germany, to hold the Germany accountable. This is where it give uplifting for the Palestinians, especially in this difficult moment. I will stop here and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much, Zeiad. Wow. It's just overwhelming. There's so much that you presented there, as well as our previous knowledge of the tragic situation happening in that area of the world. Next, we will be hearing from our final speaker, Yoav Elinevsky, who is a peace activist, native of Jerusalem, who came then to the United States and has been a community college professor, now emeritus, of mathematics from Massachusetts. He's the co-founder of FFIPP, which is an international network of faculty and students that organizes internships for college students in the occupied West Bank, as well as organizing delegations of faculty and students to the West Bank and Gaza since 2002. Yoav, welcome. You have the floor.
Thank you, Barbara. First, I want to thank you, Nicaragua, for standing for justice in Palestine and an immediate end to the ongoing genocide. Nicaragua, you made me proud to be part of the Nicaragua Solidarity Coalition. I want to thank my partners in the panel, and I want to thank all of you who have joined us. I will discuss the Nicaragua actions in the International Court of Justice, ICJ, focusing on the Nicaragua case against Germany. And I will share with you the PowerPoint presentation that I have. I thought that to start with, it will be a good idea to look at the definition of a genocide, which is stated in the Genocide Convention of 1948. If you read the first article, I want to point out that according to the convention, it is the responsibility of those who signed the convention, the document, that they undertake to prevent and to punish a genocide. In addition to it, in Article 2, they defined what constitutes a genocide. Note that you have to have the intent to commit a genocide. And I think anybody who followed the news from Israel and hear the statement by high official in the government, it is clear that the intent is to kill Palestinians. So here it is in front of us. I think that to us, it is clear that what is happening in Gaza is indeed a genocide. Now, it is also clear, of course, to Nicaragua, and therefore Nicaragua took two steps in the International Court of Justice. The first case is Nicaragua joined the case that brought by South Africa to the ICJ in December 29. It's, by the way, it's not only Nicaragua. There are many countries that express support and some joined the case of Nicaragua. Talking about Latin America, Colombia, for example, also joined the case. What is unique to Nicaragua is that they brought a case against Germany for aiding and abetting the ongoing genocide in Palestine and in Gaza. And in the case against Germany, Nicaragua insisted that the court should use its power to order Germany to stop selling weapons to Israel. Now, in April 30, the ICJ ruled about the Nicaragua case against Germany by 15 votes to 1. The bottom line is that they did not accept yet the case. However, if you look at the second and the third point that they make is, first of all, the court is expressing deep concern about the situation in Gaza. And that, I think, is important. We'll discuss it later. It also, the court refused to drop the case. Germany wanted the court to drop the case, but the court refused. So I think that in the significance of Nicaragua's action is in bringing the attention to the genocide and to the role of Germany in the genocide. When we talk about Germany's military support to Israel, Germany is the second largest supplier of weapons to Israel. About 30% of the weapon that Israel imported came from Germany. What is especially alarming is that in the last year, Germany export of weapons to Israel grew by 10-fold in the last year. What kind of weapon Germany is sending to Israel? Well, first of all, we should mention that Germany provides strategic weapons to Israel. The submarine fleet of Israel is built in Germany. I think there are 3 or 4 submarines, but these submarines can carry missile with potential nuclear weapon. Now, specifically about the weapon that Germany sold to Israel or gave to Israel that is used in the genocide in Gaza. Here you see an example of an Israeli Navy warship built by Germany. And this photo is a photo of this ship bombing Gaza from the sea. Bombing from ship is the least accurate way of bombing a target. Even more dangerous is this photo is from a German manufacturer. They are showing us a weapon which is like bazooka. It's really anti-tank, but this weapon is specifically, they say, well suited for urban fighting. So basically this weapon, which is built to destroy tanks, is used to hit residential spaces. And here you can see, these are from Israeli soldiers that took a picture. You can see how the Israelis are using this bazooka, which is called Matador. And this is not a video, but in the video that I took this picture from, you can see that the rocket is actually hitting a building, not a tank. Also, Germany sell Israel diesel engines for their tanks, the Merkava tanks, which are used heavily in Gaza and responsible for horrendous number of crimes by shelling and bombing civilians. I think it is clear when you see these pictures and you see that there is German weapon that is used in Gaza, that Germany has to take responsibility for its involvement in active involvement in the genocide. Now, when you look at I mean, how should the Germany act? I mean, we are talking about a genocide, we are talking about blockade, we are talking about starvation and disease. Germany is responsible for a number of genocides. But what was the German response to the Nicaragua case? Well, here it is. Germany abstained in the General Assembly vote on ceasefire. Germany abstained in the vote in the General Assembly to recognize a Palestinian state. And Germany stopped funding UNRWA, which is the United Nations agency to support Palestinian refugees. It used to give the UNRWA more than 200 million annually. It stopped providing this support. This is the reaction. This is the reaction of Germany. Now, it is actually shocking. A country that was involved in genocide, conducted a genocide in Europe against the Jews, conducted a genocide in Africa, in Namibia, and I would also say that conducting a genocide war against the Soviet Union, and specifically surrounding the city of Leningrad for 3 years, bombing the city and causing more than 1 million people to die of starvation. So here is a situation that is happening today. And what is German reaction? Here is what the Chancellor Olaf Scholz said in October 26. Israel is a democratic state with very humanitarian principle guiding it, and therefore one can be sure that the Israeli army will also adhere to the rules that arise from international law. That is what it does. I have no doubt about it. This is the German Chancellor. Now, there is Germany, I mean, look at this. This is from April of 2024. Germany decided to compensate Holocaust survivors in Israel now. There are about 100,000 of them also that still live in Israel. They decided to give the 113 Holocaust survivors in Israel $27 million. Now, this is this is not just this is complicated because it's not just giving money to this individual. Let them have the money; they probably deserve it. But this is an act of solidarity with Israel, and moreover, they are strengthening the connection between what happened in October 7 to the Holocaust, which is the Israeli propaganda that claiming that, again, the Jewish people in Israel are victims. Yes. So here the German finance minister saying this exceptional and stressful situation for victims of the Holocaust, which has been exacerbated by anti-Semitism being expressed around the world. So in other words, Germany is basically playing the script that was given to it by Israel by making this donation. Now, of course, the relationship between Israel and Germany is very complicated, but here is Olaf Scholz describing this relationship. This is October 23, the end of October. At this moment, there is only one place for Germany, a place at Israel's side, he told lawmaker. Our own history, our responsibility arising from the Holocaust, make it a perpetual task for us to stand for the security of the state of Israel. And in the German press, in response to what Schulz said, it said that Germany is offering military help to Israel and promising to crack down on support for the militant Hamas group at home. Again, lying as if the demonstrators in Germany and around the world, especially the students, are demonstrating in support of Hamas, which is, by the way, it is also reasonable, but and the issue of anti-Semitism, as if this is the reason for these demonstrations. Now, the history of German support to Israel, as I said, very complicated relationship, but look at that. First of all, it is absolutely clear, according to Zionist leaders from the late 40s, that the United Nations vote in 1947 to recognize a Jewish state and a Palestinian state, by the way, was motivated by the Holocaust. That the Holocaust was a huge factor in the recognition of the United Nations of the Jewish state of Israel. So the Holocaust is of crucial importance, and of course, the consequence of the recognizing the Jewish state is the Nakba for the Palestinians, the ongoing Nakba. The other important issue at the beginning of the history of relationship between Israel and Germany is Germany's support to Israel between 1953 and 1965. German paid reparation to Israel to the tune of $89 billion. In 1952, Israel and Germany signed an agreement, and Germany agreed to pay $714 million over the next 14 years. And the way they calculated this money is by, there were about 500,000 Jewish refugees from the Holocaust that came to Israel. And so for every such refugee that came from Europe, Germany paid at that time $3,000. You don't understand the significance of this support, because at that time in the early 50s, Israel was not yet totally in an American entity supported by the entity supported by the United States. It was mainly Europe. Israel was very, very poor. I remember I was born in 1952. I remember the stories of my parents and friends that in 1952, it was a problem to get food, and people in the Jewish people in Israel, the new state, had to use ration card to get food, to get basic food like oil, milk, eggs, and so on. So Israel was in a crisis at the beginning of its establishment. The support from Germany was crucial. According to the Israeli bank, as you can see, the reparation account for about 50% of the GDP, or national production of Israel, and creating 45,000 jobs. In addition to it, supporting hugely Israeli infrastructure, health system, electrical system, railway, and so on. So this is crucial to understand the significance of Germany's support to Israel. Now, there is really a tragic, multi-level tragic twist in history here. You have Germany genocide of European Jews. You have Germany genocidal war against, I said, as the Soviet Union. You have Namibia, and you have the Jewish, the German crucial support in supporting the Jewish colonial state of Israel, and the corollary role in the destruction and genocide of the colonized people of Palestine. So I would end by saying this. It is, since the International Court of Justice is still looking at the issue of the genocide, expressing serious concern about what is happening in Gaza, it is, I think, a common sense to expect that Germany will pause, will stop, will reflect because of its history. But no, Germany is actually is doubling down. They are increasing the military support to Israel, and they are increasing the political support to Israel. And this is it's really it is hard to understand how such a thing can happen. So this is my summary of the ICJ case of Nicaragua. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Yoav. Once again, I ask that anyone who has questions, please do put your questions in the Q&A, because right now we don't have too many. Nan McCurdy and I will alternate in posing questions to the speakers. I will start with one which is just asking Yoav to clarify. There's a bit of confusion in my own mind. You're saying that Germany is doubling down on sending military aid to Israel. And I believe you also said that they have continued to cut aid to UNRWA. Not quite sure about that part. On the other hand, what I read in another source, which I believe was a Nicaraguan source, was that Germany was claiming that it had restored its aid to UNRWA, and that it had cut its military aid to Israel by something like 95% or whatever. So could you clarify the current situation as you understand it?
Well, I actually, yesterday I checked the UNRWA website, and according to the UNRWA website, Germany said that they are holding the support to UNRWA because supposedly UNRWA employees were working with Hamas. Few of them. There are thousands of people that are employed by UNRWA, but United States, Germany, according to the UN website that I checked, that's the information I gave you. In terms of the weapon, as I said, in the last year, and this is from German media, in the last year, the amount of military aid to Israel increased tenfold. So, I don't see any, I did not find any evidence that Germany reduced its military support. And as I showed, the vote, for example, on a Palestinian state in the General Assembly of the UN was just a few weeks ago, and Germany did not support. So the political support of Germany is continuing. The military, as far as I know, the military support is continuing and increased last year, and no money for UNRWA. That's what the research that I did, that's what I found.
Thank you. Zeiad, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
Actually, no, but we are not surprised totally about what Germany is doing, because, by the way, maybe he can speak a little bit about that later. Germany still compensate the Israeli survivors, the Holocaust survivors, until now inside Israel in two ways. They do that as individuals, and there is a lot of reports inside Israel how these people actually treated inside Israel. This is different issue. And the other way is that collective, what we call it, support Israel state.
Mm-hmm.
To Israel. Now, when I said in my presentation at the beginning, this settler colonialism, the Zionist settler colonialism funded and protected by the settler powers in the world. I mean, countries like Germany and when it comes to United Nations, they announced officially, they will resume to support UNRWA, but in practically, I didn't check, but Yoav spoke about that. Until now, UNRWA didn't receive. And I think the weapon issue supporting Israel, despite whatever they announce, France, England, Holland, I know someone wrote in the chat about Canada. There are many countries, India supporting, and some countries from Africa supporting Israel. Underground, it's not publicly, they don't mention it. And Yeah, I believe they continue to support Israel in every level. They announce about certain issues. This is what we see publicly, but we don't see everything. The other amount of support is coming like in a different way.
Shall I go, Barbara?
Yes, please.
So this is for Yoav, but once again, anyone can answer these questions. What level of support do you think that the public opinion in Germany has for Palestine? Are there any political parties in Germany that do not support Palestine?
Well, I must say that I'm not an expert on the internal politics in Germany. I just follow in general. And from what I know, the German police has been very aggressive against young demonstrators that demonstrated in solidarity with the Palestinians. I know that Germany refused entry to a Greek politician, Yanis Varoufakis, who wanted to go and participate in an intellectual environment to give a speech. He was denied. So when Zeiad is absolutely right, the genocide in Gaza is impacting the whole world. I mean, it means that in the US, in the West in general, they have to be so aggressive against the young demonstrators in solidarity. They have to stop freedom of the press, freedom of expression. So the impact is really huge. But I don't know, I cannot be specific about what is happening inside Germany politically. I'm not that familiar with it.
Yeah, I will add to that actually. Yeah, I'm in touch with like with people they are living in Germany and Palestinians they are living in Germany and activists they are living in Germany, and there were a lot of activities since October 7th where it was shut down by the police. There were a big conference supposed to be there, even for the Nakba, they didn't allow it actually, and the police invaded, didn't allow this meeting, and there were other conference in solidarity with Gaza, and they want to organize all the activism for Palestinian community in all Europe. It was supposed to be in Germany, and the police didn't allow that. There are many Palestinians, including Abu Sitta, Dr. Abu Sitta. He was in Gaza during the attack. They refused to allow him to enter to Germany. They refused to allow him to enter France too. And these people, they are not political activists. They are witnesses, like they were in Gaza. And yeah, the public opinion in Germany, yes, the people, I can say, students movement, political party. There is, according to one of my colleagues, the way, and here I quote her, like actually, she says that they are waking up. It's moving inside Germany in the ground. The government, they are confused sometimes what they are doing that, but there is a waking up inside the German, I can say, not strong enough, but it's still waking up. But the hit from the government, it's really very strong against the activists and so on in Germany.
Barbara, I just found the information about UNRWA. Let me just share the screen so you will see it in front of you. So just here we go. Just 1 second here. I just took it now from the website. This is the website of UNRWA from April 30, 2024. And this is the statement from the German Foreign Office. So this is from April 30. I don't know if something happened between April 30 and now, but as of April 30, Germany stopped supporting
Right.
supporting UNRWA.
Thank you, Yoav. Another question to add to that is, can anyone say what is the current situation with UNRWA generally speaking? I believe that about 14 countries withdrew all of their funding from UNRWA, and I don't know whether most of them have restored that now, or if the situation is still dire because of the lack of funding, or is a lot of the situation of hunger in the country because of lack of funding for UNRWA, or is it primarily because the trucks can't get in, or aid can't even get in? Who would-
Anyone want to answer, or I can go?
Go ahead, Ziad.
Thank you. Yeah, now for UNRWA, it's not just about the countries, how many supporting, how many funding, etc. There is a plan to end the UNRWA role. This is the whole idea. The plan is coming from long time actually ago. I am a person, by the way, my hands, I show you everything in my body, it's from UNRWA. All my life in the refugee camp, my food, I used to wait in line to receive the food from UNRWA since I was a child until I was 18 years old. My education, it was an UNRWA school. This is why I have very boring English language. Anyway, it's very, very boring system with UNRWA, but it's necessary. We need it as this is like international umbrella. Now, all these kind of funds, there is a conspiracy. It's coming by Israel, and it was long time ago. There were many, many projects. Even I go to 80s, Ben Borat project. I don't know if you remember, to end all the refugee camps, to finish, and they started in Gaza, and to end the rule of UNRWA. But it didn't work. Right now, it's like I can say, since Trump came, the Israelis, they had the opportunity to do that more and more to end the UNRWA. And now with this attack in Gaza, they tried. Yoav, he spoke about a few workers, they are working on UNRWA. In Gaza Strip, there are like 32,000, if I'm not 100% accurate, 32,000 people, they are working in UNRWA in Gaza. They choose only 12, 13 employees. And right now, until now, they couldn't approve that this is accurate for these 13 people. They were, they are connected to Hamas or not. Now, for the UNRWA, yeah, their funds. It's, I think the last report came, if I remember well, and we do the aid. We have our staff members in Gaza. We coordinate with Gaza, our work with UNRWA sometimes, with other aid organization, and our partners on the ground. And we still working inside Gaza, despite the fact no trucks come in, because there are farmers and people in Gaza, they are helping them. They are very actually creative inside Gaza, let us say. But UNRWA it's mostly political need, and of course the aid in the ground and inside Gaza. And there is a new plan for Gaza. This seaport, the port they are building by United States now. They try and they want to see if UNRWA will take. They don't want UNRWA to take over. They try to push other aid organization. I'm not going, but this is like things coming about around aid organization, and we are part of it. We are not big organization. We are tiny, but because we do the work in the ground, we coordinate with each other in Gaza Strip. And the huge target, I don't like UNRWA as a refugee, but I need UNRWA. You know what I mean? I need UNRWA in the way that it's the umbrella for Palestinian refugees. We Palestinian refugees, we are not under the Department of Refugees in the United Nations. They established a special agency for us called UNRWA. And this is a huge mistake. It was happening in 1948, 49. And now we are paying the price right now. And they started the agency. UNRWA, what they do, services. They don't do any kind of protection for Palestinian refugees. Education and health and food distribution. This is UNRWA service. Now, there are some countries resumed, like they decided to come back and to support UNRWA, like even started, Norway never stopped, Switzerland, I can say Switzerland, Sweden, Denmark, they return back to fund UNRWA. But it's not enough. And UNRWA all the time, they will suffer. Every year they suffer in that these countries not paying enough to continue to do the services. UNRWA, it's another subject, a huge subject with the history. Why UNRWA?
Yes, just to add to your point, I heard in a different teach-in exactly what you were saying just now, that in the very beginning, UNRWA was created specifically because Palestine was deemed not to be a nation, not to be a member nation of the United Nations. Even then, they decided Israel was instead. And so there needed to be some agency that could handle affairs having to do with Palestine, and that's how it was created, and it's been like that ever since. Is that pretty much right?
It's in a way or another, yes, but the idea, they thought this agency will work for a little bit and it will be ended, and no
Right.
Palestinian refugees issue. Actually, it fit with the Zionist plan, with the imperial, like the colonial power in the world, that it will serve for certain goal and it will be ended. We were not like, look for the other refugees in East Timor, for example. Look for the other refugees in Rwanda, other refugees in the world, how they were under the Department of Refugees in United Nations. We have a special agency, and this agency doesn't have that much power politically.
Thank you. Nan?
Yeah, I have just a question related to what we've been talking about. You did mention maybe 4 countries. Can you say more or less, you don't have to name the countries, but more or less how many countries are supporting Gaza
As governments,
as governments?
all the world except a few countries, because according to the international law, and according when it comes about genocide and war crimes, any country witness a war crime and they have the power to stop it, they should intervene immediately, right? I'm not a lawyer. Most
Yes,
of the
course,
yeah,
but what's the reality of how many countries
reality, I can say to
really are
you that
supporting?
I know we are recording this. I hope this part will not be included, Yoav. But there are many countries that support Israel, including Arab countries. I'm
That
clear.
support Gaza?
No, support Israel.
Okay,
thinking
I was
about Israel.
talking about support for Gaza.
For Gaza. Governments, I'm sorry, I misunderstand you. I misunderstood you.
Well, I may have said it wrong.
Governments, it's like there are some governments, like I can say, they are supporting, and I meant to show that slide. You saw that at trucks, and of course there are many other governments they were willing to do, like hospitals, immediate, like building hospitals, supporting with food. I don't have actually accurate number about how many countries, but they were a support. Especially they were support came from many countries in the beginning, and it was expired, waiting on the Rafah side, and they set it on fire, destroy it actually. And I can say countries like Arab countries, Islamic countries, and there were some support came from European countries. United States, they try. You saw like the last bill in the Congress about the $28 billion for Israel. They were $1 billion for Palestine, for Gaza. But how it will go, we have no idea. Maybe this is the seaboard. This is how they printed, but we don't know. But the support, it was there. And I meant to say, like with that slide, there are food. We are working in aid. This is part of our work in the ground. We know what's outside Gaza, waiting out. We have actually ICU unit, not ambulance, ICU unit, waiting since end of November with full equipped ICU unit. We, Mecca, our organization, and it's not allowed to enter Gaza. And you have a lot of stuff like medical equipments, medicine, food, different kind of support to the people, and can save lives. But this is what we call it's a planned genocide in every level.
Thank you.
Okay, there is a question here which I'm going to add something to. This question is from Julie Lamon. How can we best communicate to our friends about supporting Palestine, people who are, maybe they haven't been paying attention even until now, or they're just starting to pay attention. For example, what 3 key messages can we deliver quickly on demos and so forth? Related to that, I would like to pose a question mostly to Yoav, but anybody else who wants to add to it. Yoav, you're from Israel originally, and I'm wondering what changed your awareness? What helped you, and what do you think could be effective in terms of messaging to other people to change their outlook as well? So I'll pose that to any speakers that want to answer, but with specific mention of Yoav too.
Well, it's a complicated process, but to summarize it, I would say people need to go to the occupied territories to see with their own eyes. And that's basically what happened to me, that through the years, I realized that what is the cost of Israel? The cost of Israel is the destruction, the genocide of the Palestinian, the native Palestinian people. And that thanks to a friendship that I have with people like Zeiad and others, I learned it. I learned that this is the other side of Israel, that we were never aware of it. We don't hear about it. We in Israel, in the West, where the Zionist propaganda is so successful, that we don't see the other side of the coin. And the other side of the coin right now, I think people start to realize and see what it means. But as Zeiad saying and many others saying, the Nakba never stopped. As a matter of fact, Iqbal Ahmad, who was a professor here at Hampshire College, I had many conversations with him. He was a wonderful man. And I asked him, because I was about to teach a course about genocide, so I went to ask him for advice. And I asked him, so do you think that Israel is conducting genocide? This is about 15 years ago. And what he said, I think, is very true. Israel is conducting a genocide since 1948 on low heat. And then there are, of course, explosions, like right now we see it. Yeah. But the genocide did not stop. The ethnic cleansing, the genocide, the colonial project does not stop for 1 second in Palestine. And to see it, to realize it, that's then one has to make to be honest with oneself, you know. And how can I am not a Zionist. I am against Zionism. I grew up as a Zionist. My family fought for Israel, myself, so on. Now I think it should be clear to everybody.
Yeah. Coleen, you want to say something? Sorry.
I just maybe would just, what should people be reading or to you know, it's all out there. People could read it if they wanted, but a lot of people just won't want to read it because it just changes the way they have to view the world. But you know, what is the info? There's a lot of information out there, and how to make it, and it's pretty available. I mean, it's just people make a choice not to want to deal with it because they're so brainwashed. You know? So it's with the younger people, with the students, with you know.
Yeah, I will add to that actually. Simply, if the people they want to be, I'm speaking to everyone. This is the issue right now. If the people they want to try to be in the middle, they are worried about 2 sides. It's not working. This is the issue. There is no 2 sides. You are with justice or with injustice. You cannot be in the middle. And this is very clear. And the second message I will send people, We are as a people, like we are in the United States or anywhere in this world. Our silence, it's mean we are participating in this.
Exactly.
No silence. People, they need to take action. And I want to make it clear. People action can save lives. And the action, whatever we see organizing, I saw some of slides and all over the world. The people, they need to take an action. This is solidarity. And sometimes I say to the American, like sometimes, hey, if you don't want to support the Palestinian, it's okay. But at least stop your support to the Israel occupation. Stop your support to this genocide. At least, if you don't want to support, it's okay, I understand. But at least you need to do. And this is the action is very important. Educate. This is the time to educate. Look, we are so lucky right now. We have the young generation involved. And I want, like, we have amazing Palestinian youth right now all over the United States and internationally. And I want to be more clear. We have amazing Palestinian women leading our movement. And this is clear. Like I say it in a very clear way. And we have amazing young Jewish people coming very strong to raise their voices in the United States and all over the world, like against what Israel doing. And we see the students' camps and tents in many universities, many of them, they are Jewish. And their voice is very important now, very important. So I will say to the people, yeah, we have a lot to do. And sometimes I understand Yoav, he said people, they need to go to Palestine, visit, see by yourself. And sometimes I'm a Palestinian. I used to receive the delegations from the United States. Sometimes if you want to learn about oppression, you don't need to go to Palestine. Open the window of your house, you see it outside here in the United States. And we need to connect that. We need to connect it because for us Palestinian, the injustice is connected. We spoke about Somoza, how they supported Israel in 1948. We go back to Nicaragua now. And we see how Nicaragua coming right now, holding German accountable. And in between, and right now there are amazing movements right now from different backgrounds, Latino, Filipino. I am living in Berkeley, and you know the history of Berkeley. And so all these kind of groups coming together, yeah, people, they don't need, if you are ignorance right now, doesn't mean it's not an excuse. People, they need to take a stand. And we pay our tax money as people living in the United States. Yes.
I will add that now we here in the US and in the West in general, there is great opportunity for people who share our view, who would like to do solidarity, to go and show solidarity and support to the students. Because the campaign, the ugly campaign of lies against the student demonstration is amazing. And we need to show that there is support to the students so that this movement can continue. And also with the union, there are now unions who are also joining the students in action in solidarity with the Palestinians.
Thank you. Before I say the next question, I want everyone to know that this week you will be receiving a video of this webinar, and the video will include the PowerPoints and also what Coleen said. So the next question is, help us understand the post-ceasefire options, please.
To whom?
Either any of you.
Ziad, you go.
Yeah, actually, I know with the ceasefire, the way how it came, it was very spontaneous. And it's become, because the idea is to stop, to have a ceasefire immediately. And right now, if you saw, I close all the time, my PowerPoint, stop the genocide. And the idea is to, the ceasefire is to have a ceasefire permanent, stop the genocide, end it. And sometimes doesn't mean, yeah, I want immediately right now. But there is a follow-up for the ceasefire. To stop, to have a ceasefire, there is a follow-up. We need to end this like 76 years of the, but right now we want to save lives. We need to stop. And it's a slogan and it's a demand. But in fact, it's an end. We want to end this suffering for the Palestinian people. Like especially not just Gaza, it's a huge. Gaza is right now is writing a new lesson in steadfastness. I say that as a Palestinian, and I speak with people in Gaza, almost our staff there, our partners, almost daily when we have internet, we can communicate. And they are very proud people, and they understand what's going on there. It's changing the world, maybe in a slow way, maybe in fast way, but at least adding a new lesson. The ceasefire is something to end this kind of suffering for one and for all. It's not just to have a ceasefire after 5 years, we'll have another kind of genocide. There is a follow-up. Right now, immediate ceasefire, right now. Stop the genocide, ceasefire, allow the aid to enter. This is an action, demand right now. Let the hospitals, medicine, everything to survive, to save lives there. Now, on the other hand, we need the follow-up is to end the whole, I'm not saying conflict, end this settler colonialism. This is another issue.
Thank you.
Additions from anyone else? Okay, I'll just add a comment. I've read a couple of articles just recently that sound as if Israel and some other countries have their own plans for what they want to do in Palestine without, once again, without consulting with the Palestinians about any of it. I think it's very offensive. Okay. We have another comment here from Julie Lamon saying, sorry, I didn't make myself clear earlier. So I'm going to try to clarify her earlier question. How can we quickly get across what Nicaragua is doing when we are on Palestine supporting demonstrations? Julie says, I sometimes get a chance to speak, and so I would like some tips. Coleen, maybe, yeah, go ahead, Coleen.
Well, I mean, I was very, very proud when Nicaragua brought the case against Germany and also, supported South Africa in their case, and other countries are adding on to that. But there's also, I read something that China this morning was the whole question of a two-state solution, because Palestine is not considered a country, really. It's sort of a sub-country. And so the whole question of getting status as a country so that you could have, the legal representation that a country has in the UN, even though that's, basically a bit useless. But, and I think that's, excuse me, the whole question of the legal status and the Palestinians deciding what they want to do. In that sense, I don't have a good sense of what the Palestinian people want. I know that there's differences, divisions, et cetera, but what are they proposing, politically? If that could be more clear, so that we could support it.
Yeah. I mean, to be more clear, there is, first of all, just for Palestinian. I'm not speaking on behalf of Palestine. I'm not a politician too. And I am just a Palestinian refugee here, to be more clear. But for Palestinian, and we saw with the history, I never saw United Nations give any kind of liberation to any nation they were living under settler colonialism. I never saw the international law or the international court that bring justice. International court used in a few cases only for people without power. Like we see how they control. And here, it's not about to be more clear, 1 state, 2 states, 5 states, it's not the issue there. The issue here is about if you are in solidarity with the people living under settler colonialism. We experienced settler colonialism, like in Vietnam, in Algeria, in South Africa, and India, and many countries in this world. And where we are standing, I'm still here here, United States. This is the native land. And I honor it all the time. And it depends where you stand in your messages. If you see this as settler colonialism in this world, it's all over. It's in the connection with Nicaragua is there. The people of Nicaragua, they gave a lesson to the world through their own struggle, and they're still giving a lesson. We are not speaking about the internal politics in Nicaragua, guys, right? And we are not speaking about the internal politics in Palestine with Palestinian Authority, recognition, this kind of recognition of Palestine. People in people in refugee camp in Gaza, they are not looking about acknowledgement from United Nations, and people, they understand freedom is not someone give it to you. You earn it. I will end here.
Barbara, is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay. So do you think that Nicaragua will pay a price for its support for Palestine? And I would just add to it, pay a price for wanting to join South Africa in their suit at The Hague and what it's done, what it's tried to do against Germany. So is it going to pay a price more than the US already hates it?
Yeah, I believe yes. Me personally.
I will also add one more point. The common point to what is happening in Nicaragua and what is happening in Palestine, not recognizing that in Palestine it is anti-colonial struggle, just like in New Caledonia right now in the Pacific. And the common feature is that the Western media and Western politicians are spreading lies and lies and lies and lies and about what is happening in Nicaragua, just like they are spreading lies about what is the nature of Israel and the nature of Zionism. And so basically what we are doing, we are connecting the two so the people will start to pay attention in a deeper way, and people who are interested will learn more about the colonial nature of the struggle in Palestine and about the amazing thing that Nicaragua is doing in Nicaragua and politically internationally.
Thank you.
And I think the whole question of this very slow change, but it is this change from a one country, the United States, running the show to a multipolar world. I mean, it's a painful process, but it's coming, I think.
Okay, thank you. I just put in the chat our email address for the Nicaragua Solidarity Coalition, which is nicaraguasolidarity.coalition@gmail.com. And I'm asking if anyone has any resources that you have found particularly helpful recently in learning more about Palestine, please share them there. I'm thinking that we might send out a few of those along with the recording of this webinar when we send it, and along with people's PowerPoints. Okay, or share them in some other way. Okay.
I just put in the chat the website of MECA. I encourage people to go and visit the website to learn about what MECA is doing and learn about solidarity work with Palestine.
Great. Our time has drawn to a close here, and I think Nan and I both are feeling very grateful for everything that has been contributed by our speakers and by the others who've made this webinar possible. I'm wondering if we could ask each of the speakers for just any final words that maybe you didn't get to say yet, or just something to summarize your thoughts.
I was just thinking that there are some very, very good analysis out there, and from people who are Joseph Stiglitz. I don't know how to mention his name, but that, famous economist. And when you read, there are very good articles that we could maybe put on our website or put on our Nika notes, etc. A different analysis. I would think that the people that support Nicaragua Solidarity Committee and all that would be, on the Palestinian people's side, but just getting more information out on the ways that we have to do it. There's another thing. When I went to college, one of my professors wrote this book called Judgment on Nuremberg. I think I'm going to reread his book and see, actually what happened, because I think maybe if the international court system does nothing, maybe we need to start thinking about something else. For example, what the compas from the International Anti-Imperialista Tribunal were starting to do, before things were interrupted. So I don't know, just and also going back to the whole question of Padre Miguel de Soto and the need for not to repair the UN, but just to just basically trash it and do it over again, because it hasn't served for anything for many years. So there's a lot of things out there that we could be discussing more.
Yeah, I will add. I was through my calls, communication with people in Gaza, and they say how they survive in this genocide. The people, they are still alive, and they survive in two reasons. First, their luck, where they are standing in that moment, in which part of the house they are, outside the house in this corner or not. And the second reason they are surviving, it's the collective spirit. How the people, they support each other, they take care of each other, they help each other. And one of my colleagues, actually it was in the radio, Pacifica Radio, we did an interview together a few days ago. Her name is Omlana, and she was saying for them, the sound of bombing is very, 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 very loud there, and they have children, and but they said in certain moments that the sound of solidarity movement, especially the students movement in the United States, become louder than the sound of the bombs for the people in Gaza, when they are able to communicate with the internet. And it was uplifting for them. And I want to say, I tried to say that from, this is the time. We need to read, we need to learn, no doubts. But most importantly, we need to take an action. Our actions can save life. And I will shut up here. Thank you so much, guys.
I would just add, thank you, everybody. I would just like to add that, of course, a natural question to ask is, why did Nicaragua brought the case against Germany? Why didn't Nicaragua brought the case against the United States? Because the 2,000-pound bomb that are falling and killing people are coming from the United States, the airplane, everything. Why not bringing the case against the United States? And the Nicaraguan themselves gave the reason. Remember, in 1984, Nicaragua went to the International Court of Justice because the United States was conducting a war of terror against Nicaragua and also mining the ports. So Nicaragua went to the court to complain about United States. But the court decided that Nicaragua is correct, that United States is guilty of conducting a war of terror against Nicaragua, and the court asked United States to pay reparations. But you know, United States, they have the rule-based order, which means doesn't matter. They make the rule. So they decided they ignore the court. So the Nicaraguan explained that when you bring the case against Germany, Germany is more sensitive to public opinion than the United States. Germany, with its history cannot just ignore the court if the court is saying, hey, you are supporting a genocide. And therefore, they decided to bring the case against Germany and not the United States. But for us here in the United States, we need to remember that we, American taxpayers, are paying for this genocide.
But there's another thing, Yoav. They brought it against Germany because Germany recognizes the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice. The United States doesn't. So it would have been there would have been no case. There would have been no trial. So they went to the second, Germany. That's why they didn't go against the United States, because it would have been a dead end.
Yeah, it was dead end. But the United States is one of the founding members of the International Court of Justice. By the way, International Court of Justice is part of the United Nations. It is different from International Criminal Court, which is not part of the UN. So US, I know, changed its position, but originally it was one of the founder of the International Court of Justice.
Yes, it was because of the terrorism by the United States in Nicaragua that the United States then changed its position about the ICJ. It did not want to have jurisdiction under the ICJ any longer.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Nan, any final comments? Oh, you're muted, Nan.
I'm sorry. You all were wonderful. I learned a lot. I hope everybody here learned a lot. I'm very sad that we didn't have a lot more people on the webinar. We had a lot of people register, and they'll get the video, and hopefully we'll share it. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.